So we are expecting one more our panelist to join us here. Thank you very much for your patience hearing. This session is before lunch, so I would request to be with us. So I'll start with Sir Anshul Mishra sir is with us. So would like to request for one question that Chennai is rapidly growing metropolis with unique urban challenges. How does CMDA balance the need of sustainable development while accommodating urbanization pressure?
Thank you, everyone, for having me here. As we all know, Chennai is a large city, and like any other large city in India, it has been facing its challenges of urbanization. And most of the cities are facing this challenge of urban sprawl, which is basically horizontal development across the areas around the city, and it goes beyond the peripheries, and it just spreads like anything, as you would have seen in the previous presentation, how Delhi has grown over the years, and the red color, which is basically build-up area, has grown over the years. So that spread is called urban sprawl, and that is horizontal development, which is not a good thing to happen. So Chennai is also facing the same thing, and there are many problems because of this horizontal development. And one of the problems is the transportation. Now, if people live away from the center of the city, they have to, travel every day towards the city, and that the transportation cost increases, the trip length increases, and it all creates a problem, a situation where your productivity in the city goes down. To handle this, the Chennai Metropolitan Development Authority and the Directorate of Town and Country Planning, we have proposed certain solutions. One of them is transit-oriented development. As we were all discussing, we all know what is transit-oriented development. It is basically a densification along the transit corridors. Now, why we need densification along transit corridors? Because transit corridors are supposed to be the public transport systems which carry large number of people from one place to the other place. If you densify these areas, that means you build more, you create more build-up area, you create more housing, more space for commercial and office spaces. You will see more people living in these areas, and that will promote usage of the public transport facilities which is already available. So it's kind of using this already available facility to ensure that we are able to move a lot of people from one place to the other. Basically, most of the people move in the city for their work. So they live in the house and they go to workplace every day. That happens. Most of the movement in the city is happening because of that. If we are able to handle that by densification, it will definitely, it's kind of win-win situation for everything. TOD also has many other benefits which you can discuss later, but this is one thing which we have proposed, and our proposal is already there with the government under examination. This proposal will have to amend many of the rules, many of the regulations in the Tamil Nadu town and Tamil Nadu combined building and planning rules. And we have proposed that we can provide differential FSI. We can give higher FSI in the TOD areas so that we attract more, build-up area and this more developers in this area to provide more housing and other facilities such as office spaces, etc. So this is one way of triggering, densification, providing more housing, providing more office spaces and commercial spaces along the transit corridors. So this is one. The other thing which cities like Chennai face is basically burden on the core city. To handle that, what we propose that we will we are proposing 6 new town development areas, which are generally known as satellite towns, but I don't know to call it satellite towns because satellite towns are basically you acquire land and then you do planning and then you construct their buildings, etc., and people come in. We instead have proposed that we will identify the growth centers which are already existing along the Chennai city, on the peripheries of the Chennai city, and we then take up those cities, notify small towns, mostly small and medium towns, notify a larger area around that, including the barren land or agriculture areas, and then do a detailed planning for that. And we are proposing that we'll use land pooling schemes under this new town development plans. We have identified 6 such towns along on the periphery of Chennai, and develop that as a self-contained urban centers which can attract populations and which can grow on its the advantages which is already had, because growth centers are basically, the growth centers are those places where some economic activity is already happening. We need to capitalize on that. So that is the second approach which Chennai has taken. I'll stop with that. We can discuss further in this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. My next question goes to Mr. Swadesh Singh. He is GM for Uttar Pradesh Metro Rail Corporation Limited. Sir, Metro Rail system has become essential sort of transportation for general public. So what rather motivated UPMRC efforts to develop this metro rail network across the state of Uttar Pradesh?
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me give first brief introduction about UP Metro Rail Corporation. UP Metro Rail Corporation is a special purpose vehicle which was created in 2014. It's a joint venture of Government of UP and Government of India, 50-50% equity. And we have been mandated to design, then construct, operate and maintain the metro rail projects in the state of UP, excepting Noida and Greater Noida. So under this UP Metro Rail Corporation, we have been entrusted upon the construction of 3 projects so far. Lucknow Metro project, which has been already constructed and operational since 2019 completely. It's a 23-kilometer long railway network. Then Kanpur Metro Rail Network, it's again 11,000 crore project, and we will be constructing 32 kilometers metro rail network, out of which 9 kilometers have been made operational, and work is on 23 kilometers. Third one is Agra Metro Rail project. This is again 29.5 kilometer long rail network, and it will be costing around 8,500 crores. And work is in progress, and we have targeted that next year in February or March, this will be first part of the priority corridor will be inaugurated. And we have got PIB approval for the 14-kilometer long elevated corridor in Gorakhpur also. And that will be the 4th network under UPMRC if it comes. Like Metro Rail, as everybody knows that this is the most sustainable mobility solution as far as the urban transport is concerned. And if at all sustainable development has to take place in urban cities and urban environment, then urban mobility is the key enabler. And metros, of course, because of the advantage of having high capacity and longer distances advantage, metros are to serve as a transportation hub among all multimodal transportation hubs. And that in urban transport, metros, public transport, this includes buses as well as other modes like tramways and buses, taxis, etc. So in Lucknow, because that is the oldest project, we are having tie-up with the aggregators like Ola, Uber, etc., Rapido bikes, and we have also had in the design itself inbuilt that we have made all other modes of transports we have connected, like Lucknow Airport, which is only 92 meters away from the departure of the gate of the Lucknow Airport. This is the shortest distance in India between any metro station and any airport. Second is the Alambagh Metro Station. Alambagh Metro Station is connected with just one staircase with the Bagh bus stand, international, interstate bus stand. Third one is Lucknow Junction railway station, which is again connected with our Durgapuri metro station, and of course Charbagh metro station is also connected. And we are in the process to connect this Badshah Nagar railway station also. Similarly, the process is on to connect Kalyanpur and Rawatpur metro stations as well as Kanpur central stations in Kanpur. And the same in the design process only we have inbuilt in Agra also. All major railway networks and bus stations, ISBT, etc. are being connected. So important is that how we connect all modes of transport and how the integrated planning is done, how each and every organ of the government and every stakeholder of the public transport is intended to provide an integrated solution. That is very important, because most of us, be it metro rail organizations or be it municipal bodies or development authorities, normally we work as per our plan. But now the difference is that in UP, we have last year TOD policy has been issued, and now the plans and zonal regulations are being revised for all the major cities where metro networks are being executed, and those who are in pipeline for which DPRs have been submitted are being submitted. So the changes are there, and now it's visible, and we are also engaging all stakeholders. So possibly we will have more and better integrated solutions as far as this urban transport is concerned, and we will be able to provide better last mile and first mile connectivity also, because so many startups are coming up in this area, and we are already having negotiations with them, and some of them will be very soon on our board. And plus very key change will occur within 6 months or so, because Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has taken Lucknow Metro in its pilot project to implement open mobility network, wherein like Arogya Setu, every service provider will be on board and every consumer will be on board, apart from the, of course, the urban transport organizations. So anybody wanted to have urban ride from any part of the city to other part of the city, one can have that entire right from the planning to integration of fair media. Everything will be available in the app itself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have with us Mr. Alok Yadav, he is Vice Chairman of Jhansi Development Authority. Sir, my question is, urban planning, as we know, urban planning plays a major role in the development of any cities. So what different initiative is spearheaded for Jhansi to ensure sustainable and organized development of that city?
Good afternoon, everyone. So, as with the many cities of UP, Jhansi is also seeing rapid growth, as sir was talking about. So, we are in the process of making a master plan. So, in the master plan, we have identified few things that needs to be taken care of in order to have planned and organization of the city. First of all, we have identified the choke points where the old city is getting too much crowded, such as the bus stands, the transport nagar, sort of transport nagar, not exactly there, the place where these activities are happening, and also the place where loading, unloading is happening, and few other congested places, such as mandis. And we are identifying spaces outside the current congested city area, so that these activities can happen outside, and that will reduce a lot of mobility, a lot of congestion inside the core area. And also it will act as a growth center for that area where we are shifting these utilities. So these new nodes can come up at those places where we are shifting these activities. So this is the major initiative which we are taking in our master plan. Also, we are all on the line of TOD. We don't have a TOD as such metro or any ring road, but we are proposing in our master plan the major roads to have commercial activities, allowed commercial activities, because in the older master plans they were only having residential land uses, and so they were not having many of the parking facilities and similar things. Once we have the land use and we have development according to it, then we can cater to it in a better and efficient manner. So these are the 2 or 3 main things we are doing. Also, other than that, we are also proposing, such as we always propose in the master plan roads. So we are identifying the priority hierarchy of that master plan roads, which needs to be taken up first. So wherever we need to foster growth, we need to put up the infrastructure first. So utilities are a must. If we want to simulate growth even by the private developers, we need to put up roads, because they cannot put up roads, or they cannot widen the roads, or they cannot put bridges or culverts over the irrigation facilities. So we are identifying those places, or railway overbridges. So we have identified those places, and we are bridging the gap in the infrastructure available in those places, so that we can simulate growth in the intended areas. Because simply marking area that it should be a R zone, it should be a commercial zone, will not work. We have to provide facilities to them. Thank you.
So with this, I come back to Chennai again, sir. As you know, infrastructure is vital for urban growth of any city. Sir, if you can highlight some of the initiatives taken by CMDA and projects aimed at enhancing Chennai's infrastructure connections.
So infrastructure, basically, there are 2-3 agencies which are providing infrastructure in Chennai. So CMDA is responsible for large infrastructure projects, but we do take some smaller projects also, which is basically in the areas where there are gaps. The local bodies are not able to provide those infrastructure. CMDA contributes towards that, and some CMDA provides funds and also does infrastructure development. Some of the large-scale infrastructure projects which we take, for example, a bus terminus. We have taken up 2 big bus terminus in on Kilambakam and Kuttambakam for intrastate bus movements. At present, there is a big bus stand called Coimbatore bus stand, which is lying right inside the city. When it was constructed 20-30 years back, it was outside the city, but now city has grown, so it has become a very prime place inside the city. So the idea was to move it towards the periphery and unlock this land, which is like 40 acres of land within this Coimbatore area, which has become a prime land. So we do this infrastructure facilities outside. Apart from that, we have taken up other infrastructure facilities for improving the quality of life of people, as well as also ensure that the water bodies within the city are conserved, and they also not only conserved but also become a public place. So we have taken up shoreline development plan, and 50 so Chennai is a coastal city, all of you know, so 50 kilometers of shoreline we have taken up for connecting and creating cycle track all along, develop 20 beaches all along, and also work with the community. Around 17 villages are there, the fishermen hamlets are there. Work with them to ensure that their livelihood also improves. Besides, we have taken 10 large lakes within Chennai city to develop at the cost of 100 crores. And for shoreline, we have created an SPV so that that it can function in an independent manner, and it can efficiently function to ensure that the shoreline is developed properly and maintained properly. So these are the kind of infrastructure projects which we have taken. We also provide funding to other agencies. For example, CMRL Chennai Metro Rail, we are providing some funding for developing the Central Square as well as the Chennai Nagar station. Besides that, we also give funding to GCC, Greater Chennai Corporation, which is responsible for medium to small size of infrastructure facilities. So this is one area where we have not been. There is an issue in terms of a unified body which takes care of the entire infrastructure in the city. So that is one area which we are working on. And third master plan, we have proposed to have a steering committee headed by Chief Secretary, and I was discussing with Ranveer sir, and the master plans don't get implemented because there is lack of a robust implementation policy. Now, master plans are prepared for 20 years. For implementing these master plans, you need to have the 20-year, plan to implement, and you have to have the investment plan for next 20 years. Now, because the windows of governments are very small, they generally lose sight of it. So that is a big problem. We need to have an institutional arrangement to ensure that master plans are implemented over the 20 years with the same vision and objectives which were envisaged when the preparation of master plan was done. Thank you.
Right. Sir, again come back to this UPMRC metro projects and all. Sir, technology plays an important role in reshaping the transportation today. So what UPMRC and how UPMRC is taking this technological initiatives for efficacy, road operational efficacy, and better customer satisfaction and experiences?
First of all, we are using CBTC, this communication-based train control system, and this is the most advanced technology available in the world. This CBTC system actually enables us to run the trains one after the other with a gap of only 90 seconds. So throughput enhances like anything. In Lucknow Metro, so far we are running with the 5 minutes frequency, but we have the capability to run at the headway of 90 seconds only. So what rolling stock we have and what the capability of the system, technological capability if we see, so at least next 30 to 35 years, that will not be a problem. I think we can be running this efficiently and without much of the crowd in the trains. Secondly, our station platforms, right now we are running with 4-car trains, and our stations are having a capacity of 8 cars. So we can double that capacity. Also trains with one more set of train can be accommodated. Like in Delhi, they have done it, and they have increased the cars in a single train. And the same is in Kanpur and Agra, and the same CBTC technology is there. And then we are running there 3-car train, but platforms have been constructed for 6-car train. So that capacity can be easily augmented. That's not a problem. As far as first mile, last mile connectivity solutions are there, and fare media integration is there. That plays a very key role to help the commuters. And in that, in Kanpur, we have introduced NCMC card. That is the second town in the country to introduce NCMC card. And we will be very soon, we have awarded the tender, and by December, we will be introducing NCMC facility in the Lucknow Metro also, wherein any debit card can be used to have the fares paid. And of course, all sorts of apps and cards, payment facility and QR codes, they are available there. So by and large, apps are there, and technological use is there. Issue is that of the coordination between the different service providers of public transport in a city. Particularly like in Lucknow, if you see that Lucknow Metro Rail Corporation, then Lucknow City Transport Services Limited, LCTSL, then that is the agency which is responsible for running up the buses, city buses, and then the RTO, which is the agency which give licenses to the private buses as well as tempos, taxis and e-rickshaws, etc. Now, these 3 agencies are supposed to work under one agency, which is, we say, UMTA, Urban Metropolitan Transport Authority. And that is the basic criteria for sanctioning of a metro. So, every city on paper has a UMTA whoever is having metro. Like for example, Chennai has UMTA right from the beginning in 2001, I suppose. But its first meeting was done in last year. I think my eminent panelist will agree. that was taken by none other than Chief Minister. But in a city, UMTA chairman is commissioner, and we have proposed a bill for that. That bill is in final stage. Once that act is passed through the legislature, I think we can have better coordination and more dynamic functioning of UMTA will ensure the use of technology and delivery to the public transport as a whole. Thank you.
Sir, last question again goes to Jhansi sir. Sir, Jhansi Development Authority जो भी अपना urban expansion कर रहा है, तो how Jhansi Development Authority is ensuring that they are not impacting much environment and for the sustainable development of the city?
So what we are doing in the new projects, we are trying to incorporate the sustainability in our core principles of planning, such as we are trying to have net zero in all aspects, simple not only in energy but also on water and sewerage, municipal sewerage. So there are different principles to that. So what we are trying to do, we have done one pilot project of a building where we are ensuring that the building is net zero in terms of energy, water and wastage. So how we are trying to achieve that is two ways. First of all, we are reducing the demand, such as we are doing the technologies are available for that. We are just trying to have a synthetic view of all these things. We are using white paint, school paints on the rooftops, and also we are having solar to generate electricity. So solar is also reducing the roof temperature, and also the white paint, cool paints are reducing the temperature. Secondly, we are also using panels with the UV numberings that reduces the heat intake by the building from the sides or from the window panels. These things reduce the demand of the energy, and then we are also trying the new technology such as radiant cooling through water-based cooling, that is rather than having VRF. So we are trying the efficacy. We are testing also that how much efficient are these systems. So especially if the buildings we are going to build, we are trying to incorporate these things in the structure itself. This is for the building level planning, and for the whole city level planning, we are trying to incorporate, as we are mandated by various guidelines, 15 to 20% of green area has to be there. But along with that, that blue and green infrastructure VC sir was talking about, we are trying to rejuvenate our water bodies and the tree canopy, so that the urban streets has the shading properties. So for that, we need to have tree canopy alongside the walkways. So we are trying to incorporate that in our new planning principles. So wherever we are planning new township or private people are planning townships, so we are saying don't concrete it all. Have the shaded pathways so that the urban heat island effect is reduced. Simply, we are also encouraging even private parties and also in our JDA planning that we should have zero wastage in the sense that municipal wastage laws also mandate that we should have composting in the bigger institutional plots should have composting. So our layouts or the colonies should have all the facilities of either STP based solutions, and also there are new solutions available where I think it's not water waste, it's anaerobic process is done, so that water demand is also reduced, and the technology has been proven useful in many of the European cities. Maybe the cost is a little bit a factor here, but if we take into account the overall demand over the years, as the maintenance costs are included, then it's almost at par with the current technologies. So once we incorporate these principles in the planning principles, we can have a more sustainable planning in the city area, and it can reduce both our needs and also the demands placed on the environment.
Thank you, sir. Do we have the time to take questions from audience? Sir, mic is not. You can use this.
I'm Professor Subodh Shankar, former Chief Architect, UP Housing Board, and I've spent about 14 years in academics. Mr. Anshul Mishra ji, he talked about vertical development. And that is the trend is being seen all over India in all conferences. People advocate this vertical development, and to stop the sprawl. But we are forgetting the fact that we definitely reduce the horizontal movements, but we increase the vertical movement. We are forgetting about it. The load on the infrastructure is much more in the vertical development. It is much more costly also. And if you see the American pattern, about 100 years back, Manhattan was created. They learned a lesson that it's not a proper development. Then they started developing low-rise. All over Europe, there is a trend of low-rise development. Even in Dubai, which is the tallest building in the world, now they are moving towards the periphery and having just 4 or 5-story buildings. So let us contemplate on this particular point. Do we really need? And the point which you said was about the sprawl. My suggestion will be to have more and more new cities, not sub-cities or not satellite towns, but full cities, large cities. Only then we can stop the sprawl of the metro cities, which is happening today. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you for asking this question. I was expecting this. There is a misconception about this. In the previous, somebody talked about concrete jungles. So concrete jungles are good for the economic health of economy if it is planned well. Now, when we talk about TOD and densification, it doesn't mean you densify the entire city. The densification will happen only in the corridors, and the non-TOD areas, the areas between the TODs will have less pressure to densify. Because they will have anyway, the policy says that you will have less FSI for the non-TOD areas than the TOD area. So obviously you will have less build-up area in that place. And the demand for housing or demand for build-up area in that that portion will reduce automatically. So the city will have on an average a kind of almost similar build-up area in both situations, but the more build-up area will come along the transit corridor. So vertical development is not bad. Please understand that. Now, some people say that, you also raise this point, what happens to the infrastructure? Now, tell me which city has first laid the infrastructure and then gone vertical? It happens simultaneously while you have your policies to densify the transit corridors or zones. Many cities have not done TODs, they have done zoning. For example, Singapore has done zoning. But New York has done TOD. New York has done TOD in such a way that around 90% of the people live within 15 minutes of walking distance of a subway station. 49% people use the public transport system in New York because they have designed the whole thing in such a way, you live in a house, you just walk to the railway station or a metro station or a bus station. And they have also done, as you were mentioning, as multimodal integration has to happen, which they have done in their planning. We have not done that. We have actually, we are lagging in that. We have failed in some way. Now is the time to, go for vertical development in the selected corridors, not the entire city. Otherwise, you cannot prevent urban sprawl, and urban sprawl, all said and done, even cost-wise, vertical development is not costly. The infrastructure which you have to provide per capita in a horizontal development, which is urban sprawl, is more than infrastructure cost per capita in the vertical development. Please understand this. This is very, very important. This is very important because city functions as an economic unit. If you don't reduce the transportation cost, the transportation time, we invest every day at least 1 to 2 hours in commuting from our house to workplace. It reduces the productivity. TOD has multiple advantages. I advocate TOD. There are problems. There's no doubt. There must be some negative issues which we need to handle in TOD. But at this point of time, for Indian cities, TOD is the panacea. TOD is the solution. If we can have a resilient, planning with TOD in the cities, we'll be able to handle many problems. So it is a misconception that vertical development is something not good for cities. Actually, it is very good for cities. And we need to work on the infrastructure planning for providing better infrastructure. And TOD also has an advantage of having space to provide larger utility services. For example, in Chennai's TOD policy, we are saying we'll give higher FSI to all the plots which are abutting the 30-meter wide road. Now, if you want to upgrade your water supply pipeline or your underground sewerage system, you can upgrade it there. And there is a costing to that, obviously. So when you give higher FSI, you do value capture financing and get some money to, finance this infrastructure upgradation in the TOD area. So these are the solutions which have come out of planning. I'm sorry, I'm not accepting your point, but this is what I put forward for advocating the TOD policy, the densification policy. Most of the cities on the world over have done it, and they have done it successfully. Thank you.